Thank you very, very much for being here, everyone. It's my utter thrill to be here once more. I'm going to talk about how you can share good energy and loving information inside your body as a model for how we are in the world. First, a little bit of history about myself. I had the privilege of being born right next to what is one of the most oldest and possibly the oldest, certainly quite a famous, temple of the goddess on the island of Malta in the Mediterranean. And I've been obsessed with goddess worship all my life. And I'm especially passionate about connection. To me, life is about connection. And the ultimate statement of connection was epitomized by my mum, the mother of my kids, and every mother that's here, and everyone that embodies motherness. The principle of connection to me is embodied by mothers, because mothers always think that they're connected to the being that came from inside them. True? Like this. My mother, even till the day she died, was convinced I was only 6 years old. She still treated me like I was 6 till the very end. So the thing about a mother is that they feel that baby being born, inside them. It's one with them. They're connected totally. And we all know we're connected, but a mother is very special in that way. So I was born in Malta. A little bit about myself, just so you get the basis of where I'm coming from. My father was a free diver in the army, and he taught me how to swim in the Mediterranean when I was a little boy. And so even before I could swim the lap of an Olympic pool on top of the water, he taught me how to swim under the water. So for me, one of the principles I learned about fitness was that fitness is about learning how to not breathe. Because that's the complete opposite of what most people talk about today. Most people hear things like, got to breathe more, got to get your heart rate up, got to stretch more, got to tense your muscles. All this sort of stuff you hear about is actually causing a lot of problems in the world. And let me explain. As I went on in my life, we traveled from Malta around the world, and I came to Australia with my sister and my parents in 1968. And it was a wonderful 6-week trip from Southampton all the way around South Africa. Best, 6-week holiday I ever had in my life. And we arrived here and we made the best life here. And just on an aside, I've traveled all around the world as an adult, as a child, and I'm just blessed to be in what I think to be the best part of the best country in the whole world. You can't say that, I don't think, if you were born here. But since I wasn't born here and I've lived here 55 years, I can say that, and it's really a pleasure to be here. So when I came to Australia, I met, by some chance, a Tibetan Lama in my teens, and I spent a year with him. And he taught me the essence of tantric yoga. And with Tantra, the essence is that everything is okay. There's no right, there's no wrong. Everything has its time and place. So also with what I say, there is no right, there is no wrong. Everything is right at some times, not appropriate other times, and vice versa. So he taught me a lot. And what he taught me also was, he said this is to do with yoga. One of the things that he said was that yoga is about connection. Meditation, yoga, connection mean the same thing. Around the same time, I was at high school learning about biology. And two things happened. One was I was learning about the nervous system. And they said the nervous system has got two main parts: the conscious nervous system or somatic nervous system, and the unconscious nervous system called the autonomic nervous system or automatic. And it said in the textbook, the conscious nervous system, the somatic nervous system, is that can be controlled by your conscious mind. Then it said the autonomic or automatic nervous system cannot be controlled by the conscious mind except by some Indian yogis. And I went, so who are these strange people who can control their unconscious? So around the same time, my high school teacher showed us a picture of this person sitting naked, pretty much naked. He had a loincloth on like this. And he said, that person is meditating. They are doing yoga. And the two words were synonymous. Meditation, yoga, same thing. Of course, on Instagram now, it's not the same, is it? For meditation, you have to see someone sitting in a cold room looking cold and bored. But for yoga, you have to see someone maybe bouncing on one hand or maybe doing the splits or something stupid like this, which, of course, they're not really anything about each other. Meditation and yoga should be the same thing. And that's what I heard. But then, surprise, surprise, within a couple of years, toward the beginning of the 1980s, many of my friends, while I was at the time studying molecular biology, I went to university and I became a genetic engineer. If you want to talk to me about COVID, I can tell you everything about the nature of science and how it's not really what we think it is. But as I was doing my gene cloning and molecular biology, I was noticing that many of my friends had taken up meditation. And they said to me, we are doing meditation. And I go, wow, that's amazing. That's so difficult. And they go, why? And I said, because I've seen people meditate. Because I forgot to tell you that when I saw this person sitting in this posture, he was sitting naked in the snow. So I go, meditation must be difficult, no? To sit naked in the snow. So when all my friends in the early 1980s and late 70s said, we do meditation, I go, really? Oh, wow, that's so hard. And I saw many of them, and it was after a few years that they actually said to me, come and do meditation. I'm going, I'm not sure I can do it. But then I saw them just covering themselves with blankets and go, that's not meditation, that's just sitting in a cold room getting cold. I mean, I'm not knocking doing that. There's a certain benefit in sitting and doing nothing, and there's a certain benefit in focusing your mind. But really, this art of meditation is mostly lost in the West. And what we're looking at is not just doing something which is good for your mind. What we want for ongoing health, happiness, and longevity is something which is going to help the sum of our body. And the sum of our body is not just the physical, which is often what most people take their time to think about. Physical is like strength of your muscles, flexibility of your joints, this sort of thing. That's what everyone's obsessed with, isn't it? And then it's more about things like physiological. Physiological health is very important, isn't it? Physiological health is things like the health of your immune system, your digestive system, your reproductive system, your energy levels, how calm you can be, or how active and excited you can get if you need to briefly then go back to calmness. This physiological component of our body is often misrepresented and underrated in most of the forms that people do to call their exercise or whatever they want to call it. Then the other part of our body, which is very important, of course, is the mind, the mental capacity, which you could subdivide, but of course it includes things like your ability to think clearly, logically where necessary, but also to be intuitive, also to feel the right way. It's funny, we live in a world where we're dominated by logic, but even at the base of all logic is guesswork. It's like the cosmologist who says, we can explain to you the entire universe. Just give us one miracle at the beginning where everything came out of nothing and we'll explain it. And so all science is based on assumption. It's all based on guesswork. And what's guesswork? It's intuition. So for me, I've got 3 degrees in science. And the last one I did was in physiotherapy. So I'm very into making sure people's muscles and joints are healthy and happy. But over the last 20 years, I'm 63 now, I got less interested in trying to get strong and fit beyond the needs of, I want to be pain-free and functional. Pain-free and functional is a useful thing to be. Now, if you want, you also might want to do certain things, and at different times of your life, you might want to do certain tasks or activities, fine. If that's really important to you, do it. But as we all get older, and everyone here is getting older, we're not as young as we used to be, then you realize that actually there are more important things than doing what many people on Instagram think are really important, such as doing the splits or balancing on one hand or fancy tricks, which are really not that important for long-term health, happiness, and longevity. Does that make sense? Even the word sense, when you say to someone, does that make sense? Is that sensible? Your thought is it logical? But the word sense is talking about feeling, isn't it? And there's so much of this loss in the world today where we live in a world that's dominated what seems to be like a patriarchal, godlike state, whereas actually the goddess is often misunderstood and lost. And so if you had to be putting labels on things, the male side of it is much more logical, and the female side is much more intuitive. Isn't that a common way of thinking about it? And what we need, of course, is not one, not the other. We need both. And so my passion is for trying to reflect why we're here and then trying to achieve the goal of why we're here. Because I believe it's very important for ongoing health, happiness, and longevity to have purpose in your life. Do you think it's important to have purpose? And you know, someone without purpose can be often very lost. So if you haven't got a purpose, I'll give you my purpose, because I think it's one that we can all relate to, perhaps. And this was something that didn't just come from reading books. I saw this. One of my mentors, a man who I really admire, and I've had the privilege of talking on stage with him, is Bruce Lipton. I love Bruce Lipton. He's a wonderful man. For those who haven't heard him or seen him, his first book was called The Biology of Belief, where we have in the West this idea that, let me just make sure I turn on this time thing first. Otherwise I get carried away. So we have this idea that our health is based on the nature of our genes. You know, if you've got the gene for breast cancer, you're going to get breast cancer. If you've got the gene for happiness, you're going to get happy. If you haven't got that gene, tough luck. You've been dealt a bad deck of cards, you're not getting it. Whereas actually this is so based on fraudulent assumptions. And when we look into it, and I recommend the work of Bruce Lipton, but it's something that I recognize myself as a molecular biologist working with gene cloning in the early 1980s, was that genes are not expressed just because they're there. They're expressed based on the environment around them. So if you get stem cells are undifferentiated cells that babies come from. The baby starts with only a few cells, but some of those cells choose to become skin cells. Some choose to become liver cells, some bone cells. How do they know what to choose? Because all the DNA, all the genes are the same in all the cells. So what makes a cell become a particular thing, which might be a cancer cell or it might be a liver cell or whatever, is not so much the genes themselves, because they're the same in every cell. It's the environment around them. So when Bruce Lipton in the 1960s, and I did similar experiments in the 1980s, put a bunch of stem cells in 3 dishes, exactly the same clones, same cells in 3 dishes, and one dish was really good for the growth of liver, another dish was really good for the growth of bone, another dish was really good for the growth of skin. The first one became liver, then bone, then skin. So depending on what your environment is, your genes will express that. But let's do an experiment. The experiment is, I want you to visualize that you're, first of all, before we do this, it's a tangible thing, make saliva. Swallow it. Okay, good. Now, close your eyes if you're there, and then I want you to visualize in your mind's eye your favorite meal. Now, keep your hands rested, but I want you to imagine your favorite, most yummy meal, and with your imaginary, not your real, hand, pick up your imaginary favorite meal and bring it to your imaginary, not real mouth, and then open your imaginary, not real mouth, and bring the imaginary favorite food up to your imaginary, not real nose. And with your imaginary, not real nose, I want you to smell your favorite food. Then I want you to put your favorite imaginary food in your favorite imaginary mouth. And without using your real tongue, imagine you are chewing and tasting your imaginary favorite food. And now open your eyes. Did anyone salivate? It makes you salivate. Well, this is my example for why reality is by our body perceived to be exactly the same as our imagination. So the truth is, genes are not expressed to make you the way you are by the real environment. They're turned on by what you think the environment is. And if you believe a certain thing, then that's what the genes inside you are going to express. And so hence his book, The Biology of Belief. This is really important. It's really important. So mental health is really important, but having purpose in your life is really important. So if you want a purpose, my favorite purpose is to recognize we're all connected as one family. You know, I mean, none of us, maybe some of you, I mean, I have my beautiful sister here. And she's definitely, I know she's connected. I saw her come out when I was 2 years old from my mum. But in fact, we all know that we have parents and grandparents and aunties, and don't you think we're all related? Aren't we all related? Wouldn't it be nice to think that, I mean, how many people think that the people in China actually independently evolved from some other creature to the people in Europe? I don't think so, no? We all evolved as one species, human species. Every person here and every person in the world is related to everyone else. And I'd go further to say we're also related to the flowers, the trees, the birds and the bees. Everything is related to everything else. My passion before I started university was physics. And physics at its highest level will tell you that everything is actually connected, and the connecting glue is consciousness. And that now scientists realize that you have to double blind, not just experiments on people where a doctor might give a placebo pill to someone and a real drug to someone else. And they found that if they knew they're giving a placebo and they knew they're giving a drug, they realized that actually the placebo never worked. So they double blind it. So they make it so that the patient doesn't know whether they're getting real medicine or just a sugar pill, but neither does the doctor. And then they found, surprise, surprise, that for most drugs like Prozac, for example, when they really studied the true trials, the placebo, the sugar pill, works just as good as the real drug. You know, a lot of drugs work like this. But now they've realized that actually most of those double-blinded studies were always done on where people were involved. But they've realized now that they've got to do the same for physical things. Physical things meaning when you're working with animals, when you're working with geology, when you're working with measuring the speed of light, when you're doing things like measuring gravitational constants and things like this, you have to do double-blind controls. And so otherwise we're realizing that the perception of what the experimenter thinks is going on will change the nature of reality. One of my other mentors who I met when I was at university and really, really enjoyed is Rupert Sheldrake. And he taught about the theory of habit. And his most recent book, which I really recommend, is called The Science Delusion. And he talks about the 10 main dogmas of science, where people think it's real because it's scientific, but then when you go to the base of it, you go, actually, it's just based on guesswork, really, isn't it? Like, is the speed of light a constant? Is the gravitational constant constant? Or has it changed? Is it still changing? Well, they found in the last 100 years that when they measured things like the speed of light, it did change. But they just assumed we must be not measuring it right. So at about 1972, they just said, let's just call it this number and not look again. When you really look at it, it's possible that our understanding of reality is not what we think it is. So I believe everything is connected. And I think if you believe everything is connected, and at least people are connected, and we are all related to the earth, to each other, then why not act like it? You know, I mean, we're all very good as parents to look after our children, mostly. But why wouldn't you walk up to the drunken old person on the street and treat them with as much love as your child? Most people wouldn't. What prevents it usually is fear or something like that. So being in fear is a big problem. As soon as you're in fear, you stimulate flight or fight response hormones, like adrenaline, like things that cause basically inside you problems. And the problems are physical and physiologically when you experience fear. I'm mentioning it because we all know what fear is like. If you're being attacked. I was in Israel a couple of years ago, just before COVID hit. And we had a wonderful time, peace and love in the forest. It was really, in the desert rather. And then just before we were leaving, they said, you have to go straight to the airport now because there are bombs dropping 20 minutes down the road. And so then there's massive fear. Then I arrived in Australia and there was massive bushfires and my family was being evacuated. It was that strange time of our life, wasn't it? End of 2019, then came the floods and then COVID hit, So the world was dominated by fear. And what happened? Everyone got sick. Why? I mean, if you want to debate at some point the nature of what happened with COVID, I would love to, but maybe not right now. But my feeling is that many people got very sick because of the fear. Because fear and that flight or fight response will switch off your immune system, your digestive system, your reproductive system. And if you look at it, those organ systems of your body are like, imagine what happened to Lismore. Remember Lismore got destroyed? And what had to happen was the houses, some of them were still standing, but the gyprock was all mouldy. You couldn't be in there. The carpet's all mouldy. So you had to get someone to demolish the houses, remove them. Then you had to get architects to design new houses. You had to get builders to come and do that. Well, the same is true inside your body. Inside your body, you need, if something is damaged or there's sickness, you have to take away the toxic residue, the waste. That happens with your circulatory system. You have to bring fresh building blocks, which comes from the digestive system, absorbing nutrients and bringing fresh things via the circulatory system. You've got to get rid of the toxic waste via things like the kidneys and things like that. Then the architects inside your body for the new design will be things like the immune system. But who are the builders? The builders are the reproductive system. You see, I'm very much into reproductive health. But when people say, oh, he's just trying to help my reproductive health, they go, I've had enough sex in my life. I don't need that. I've had enough children. I don't need more children. Reproductive health is about reproducing brain cells when you're 120. My teacher's teacher, he's actually my teacher's grandfather, is 121 in a few months. And he still rides his bikes in the hills of China, and he does things, he does beautiful movements, can knock down trees with his hands. And I've had many brilliant teachers. You know, after I studied with my Tibetan Lama, I went to India 27 times and traveled to China and Japan and all over the world. And I had the privilege, the honor of living in the Aboriginal housing estate in Redfern in the late 70s. And I met wonderful Indigenous people there who just taught me so much. The Indigenous cultures of this world have got so much to offer us. And they're the ones saying we are all connected to each other, to the earth. So my purpose is to recognize and act like we're connected. But how can you act like you're connected to everyone else? In which case, treat everyone like the same as you would treat your child or a mother would treat a baby, unless you feel that yourself. So my main aim when I go around the world and teach is to share good energy and loving information inside our bodies as a model for how we are in the world. I mean, isn't that what a mother does to a child? She shares all her good energy, all her love to the baby. Put your hand up, the mothers in the room, please, just for a moment. I love you guys, thank you. The rest of you, I think you appreciate it as well, no? But really, that's what a mother's constantly doing, sharing her love, sharing her good energy. But it really helps if you have a model for how to do that. And the best model comes inside yourself. So to share good energy and loving information inside yourself, I'll call the sharing the good energy encouraging blood flow. Because cardiovascular health is very important. How many times have you heard about going to the gym to improve your cardiovascular health? Have you heard it? Probably not. Because in Australia, we abbreviate everything. We don't have anything this afternoon, it's this arvo. Isn't that true? So Australian physiotherapists are amongst the best in the world. That's what we've been told. Australia, for a tiny nation of people, does very well in the Olympics with countries like India, with 1 billion people who don't care about winning at the Olympics. They're not into the competition. I'm going to beat you. But the thing is, the dogma of Australian physiotherapy, medical science, which is esteemed all around the world, that went everywhere. And so did the abbreviation for the word cardio. I've got to do some cardio this afternoon. I've got to do some cardio. How often have you heard, I need to do a bit of cardio? But logically, you think about it. If a person is running fast and their heart rate is bump, 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 you go, they're really fit, aren't they? But if someone is walking slowly, going bump, 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 you go, oh, they're going to die soon. You know, same. You've got to breathe more. You need to do more breathing exercise. Who's heard that? Breathe. You need to breathe more. Oh, it's good. Take a good deep breath. And you go, if you see someone lying in bed doing this, you know, they're going to die soon. The more someone breathes, the worse off they are. True, isn't it? Haven't you been irritated trying to go for your one jog a year when you jog next to someone who's fit and they're talking to you and you're going, shut up. Can't you see I'm trying to run? And they're like, happy, shut up. So the more someone breathes, it's the more the expression of their sickness, not health. And the same, if you go to pick up a heavy weight and you feel all your muscles tense up, it's not a heavy weight. You should pick up a weight and go, yeah. But if you pick up a heavy weight and you feel every muscle tense, it means you're really weak. You know? Same with flexibility. Flexibility is great. Strength is great. Tension is a sign of problem. Stretching is a problem. As soon as you feel a stretch, your body thinks, something's wrong. Do it, cross your arms. Can anyone do lotus posture? Can you show me lotus posture now, please? Don't move your arms. I mean, change your arms. Shouldn't your legs be able to do the same thing? Certainly in India they would. Now, bend your elbow. Are you getting a good elbow stretch? No. Try and bend it more. Is there a good stretch? No. Imagine if you bent your elbow and go, oh, that's a good elbow stretch. Your next thought would be, I think I fucked my elbow. It's broken. I mean, same with a workout. When we bend your elbows again, like this, bend your elbows. Lovely. Now put one hand on the opposite biceps and bend the elbows. Biceps switching on. Did you get a good workout? I mean, when you bend your elbows, I'm doing a biceps workout. Imagine if you felt, I'm bending my elbows, I'm getting a good biceps workout. But of course you're not. If you felt tension in your biceps as you bent the elbow, you'd think something's wrong with my elbow. But actually bending the elbow is exercise. It's movement. It operates you. So what I'm saying is that, unfortunately, in a world which is dominated by fear, being mongered by the media especially, because they're the ones that give the most fear, aren't they? We're made even more problemed by the fact that people tell you you should exercise. And exercise actually is, for most people, just adding on to that flight or fight response. And so how many people do regular exercise? Put your hand up. Like, it's not a massive amount, right? When I say regular exercise, 2 hours of movement a day, no, the hands are not rushing up. But the truth is, as a physiotherapist, the stats show that maybe about 1 in every 20 people does enough exercise each day. Why don't the other 19 people do it? I mean, many people do. They say, I've got a gym membership. Haven't been for 2 years, but I pay it every week. Many people do that. I do yoga. Haven't been for 3 years, but many people do that. But the point is, it's just not appealing. It's just not nice. Because when people do stretching, it feels horrible. Doing the splits is nice if, when you get there, it feels like you're in a warm bath being massaged by someone who loves you. But it's not, usually it's like it's uncomfortable. I mean, you want to see my easy splits? This is my easy splits. Difficult splits. Yeah? But imagine if I'm doing that and I go, oh, that's a good hammy stretch on my right leg. Oh, now I'm feeling my hip flexors. Your next thought would be, my hips are stuffed. As soon as you feel stretch, the body thinks something's wrong. And so many people work in the gym. Many people, exercise in the gym or go to a yoga class for stretch and flexibility. And what they find is that they're told that when you stretch, you should stretch till you feel the stretch. And then your body is going to realize that it's not long enough, that in fact your muscles are not adequate. And next week they're going to get stronger. Isn't that what we're told? They're going to get longer rather, yeah? So basically you stretch till muscle failure, there's little micro tears. And then next week, your body's going to heal from the damage you've just done after realizing you're a failure, and you're going to get more flexible. And the same with exercise. You pick up weights, you pick up a 9 repetition maximum this weight. I can pick it up once easy, twice harder, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9. And then you can't pick it up for another day or so. That's how most people teach and practice at the gym, isn't it? It's working till failure. So what's the message that your body gets? You're a failure. You're a failure when you stretch. You're a failure when you do strength exercises. And when you're running and your heart starts to increase, does that mean you're going to be doing it all day? No, it means you're about to fail. True? So I'm not saying anything new, but it's sometimes surprising when you say it to people who are not Olympic athletes. Because in the last 15, 20 years, Olympic athletes, Olympic runners, for example, are told that we need to train you to run to the next Olympics, to run in the next Olympics. So in the next Olympics, we need to make sure that you win. So to help you win, we're going to get you to run for 100 minutes every day. But you'll get the best results if out of that 100 minutes, for 90 minutes, you can run talking normally. That's not what they teach you in the gym, is it? I remember when I was growing up, and some of you are about the same vintage, that when I was growing up, they were telling us, you need to exercise 45 minutes, 3 to 5 times a week, and at that time, you want to exercise till 40 to or 60 to 80% of 220 minus your age. Something like that, remember that? And when you did it, it was painful, it was horrible, you sort of forced yourself to do it. Then come a couple of years later, the injuries start coming, you get to 30, 40, and that's it, people stop. People give up because it's not pleasant. Then they started learning about high-intensity interval training. You heard about this one? Where you might run for 30 seconds until you're exhausted. Then you walk for 4.5 minutes. Then you run again. What I found was that actually even that is not sustainable. So I told you about my 120-year-old teacher, right? He does this. And maybe you'd like to try it. So what we can do is, if you feel like, you don't have to. It's a very simple exercise. It's this. I'm going to go from here, and I go here. I go down on my toes, come up on my heels. I go down on my toes and up on my heels. You want to try that for like 20, 30 seconds, if you feel like it. It's good to get blood flow. It gives blood flow. So what I want you to feel is, feel your temperature right now. Imagine what your heart rate is. Bend your knees slightly. And just from this position, come up on your heels, expand your back, lift up the chest and go down on your toes. Come up on your heels, lift up, or go down on your toes. Relax as you're doing it. Connect with the bridges between conscious and unconscious. Keep doing about my pace, slower or faster if you wish. I was mentioning the conscious and the unconscious. So the conscious mind can control muscles while thinking about them. Unconscious mind doesn't think about them. It's like the blood vessels in your neck and things like that. But there are bridges between conscious and unconscious. One is the diaphragm. So just check, is your abdomen relaxed? When you breathe in, is your abdomen expanding and softening? But other places are like your salivary muscles, because you can choose to salivate or it happens by itself. So salivate. You can also sometimes tense people, they grip their teeth and their jaw, don't they? So you can control that. So smile, kiss. All the things we like with our jaw. Smile, kiss. Now, blinking is conscious and unconscious. Sometimes someone makes you blink, but what happens? We do it conscious, slow blink. Half open your eyes, half close. At night time when you're asleep, your eyes look up. So look up, look down. Forehead soft. Also, there's a few other places. Fingertips. Check your fingers can move. They're lengthened but relaxed. Check your shoulders can roll. Check your neck is free. Now relax your pelvic floor. Now many people tell you, got to tighten your pelvic floor. Who's heard that? Many people. Tell you what, there's names for people like that. You don't need to keep it tight the whole time. Quick lesson now. If right now you were to relax your pelvic floor a little bit more and something falls out, please go to the toilet. Okay? But if nothing is going to fall out when your pelvic floor relaxes, maybe you're holding it a bit too tight. Now do a little test. Touch your nose with your thumb and just go up and down. It means you're not breathing, but relax. And notice, when you come up and you extend your hips, it almost feels like you're sucking into your nose. When you go down, pressure pushes against your nose. And as we're doing this, going up and down, it's making the diaphragm move up and down. which actually causes a change in pressure in your trunk. And what happens is this pulls more blood into your heart when you go up and less blood when you go down, which means your heart rate will change. As we go up and down, at the highest point, my heart rate is 75 beats per minute. At the lowest point, it's 45 beats per minute. This means my heart rate variability is improving significantly as I do this, just by breathing naturally and moving this way. This is incredible, and it's one of the biggest indicators of immune, reproductive, digestive health. Release. Who could feel that? It's real, right? Sit back down again. Notice a couple of things. One is, who got warm doing that? Is your heart racing? No. Because now you've learned not cardio, which is just a problem with your heart, but you've learned vascular, which is about getting blood flow to happen without the heart racing. It's a much better form of exercise. You could have done the same thing just by moving your fingers, just by rolling your shoulders, just by moving your neck, by relaxing your pelvic floor and just maybe moving your hips a little bit, by relaxing your abdomen. Look at that. Isn't that ugly? I show that on Facebook. I get abusive fan mail. It's not that fanny. But actually, babies walk around like this, don't they? Babies walk around like this. If I show a baby my tummy and I say, goo, 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 gaga, go, ooh, 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 the baby just copies me instantly. Now, in the world of the gym, they say, you've got to engage your lower abdomen. Who's heard? Engage the lower abdomen? Can you do it? I don't think so. 1 in 20 can do it. There's my soft jelly belly with my belly button fluff. How embarrassing. So I pull my lower abdomen in, and you see, upper is still soft. Lower is still soft. I can still breathe. 1 in 20 people can do that. What you've been hearing for the last 30 years, you must learn to engage the lower abdomen, that's this. This is transversus abdominis. 19 out of 20 people cannot do it, even if you train for a couple of months. I mean, I could teach it, but it will take a month. So most people are just locking their core. Most people just tightening their core, and it causes stress. Just feel your lower abdomen. Put your fingers in your lower abdomen. Breathe deep. Deep means like deep in the water, not here. When you breathe in, it should feel like your lower belly above the pubic bone is expanding when you inhale. When you breathe out, it should be like when you're asleep. Just let the air out. Okay? Now, everyone wants a strong core. Many people like having a tight anus. So try it. Tighten your pelvic floor and tighten your core. Do that. Look strong, strong, strong. Good. Now with a tight pelvic floor, a tight core, now try and breathe into your abdomen. Try it. Breathe into your abdomen. Where does the breath go? Right. That's stress. That's what most people do in fitness classes, in almost every yoga class. People overbreathe, overtense. And what they're doing is creating a state of flight or fight inside their body, which is adding on top of the flight and fight that we live in all the time anyway. So my motto is tense less, stretch less, breathe less, keep your heart rate less, breathe less, think less, and the big one, eat less. Because when you're sharing good energy and loving information with other people, you have to know how to do that. And the model is inside yourself. So inside yourself, you share good energy by making blood flow without the heart racing. And the first thing you have to do is you have to stop blocking blood flow. So what blocks blood flow is too much tension, too much stretching or bad posture. What's the worst possible stretch that everyone does? It's this one, isn't it? It's this one. We all hate that one, don't we? It's, how long would you do it for? Would you do it for an hour? No, you do an easy version for an hour. So for an hour, you could do this one, couldn't you? Oh, but not for 5 hours, no? So let's do an easier one. An easier one is this one here. I'll give you an even easier one. It's this one here. And while you can do this for 10 hours a day, and you do things like this. Oh. It's the worst thing that you can possibly do, is sitting on chairs. It's the worst possible posture. And what happens is this muscle in the front of the hips gets shorter, doesn't it? So what that muscle does is it connects to your lower back. So the muscle is called the psoas muscle, connects from inner thigh to lower back. So if you are sitting like this for 5 to 15 hours a day, when you stand up, and you see old people do this, don't they? Stand up and they walk like this. Yes. But luckily, young people have got a very flexible lower back. and they do this. And they walk like this. So it looks like you're standing up straight, but actually you're squashing your lower back. You're squashing your lower back. And then some clever people, often girls, without any offense intended, they put things on their legs. And then they try and make it better by pulling in the tummy, lifting up the chest to open the heart center. And then they go to a yoga class and someone says, lift up your arms, pull the shoulders down and back for squash the back asana. Have you heard this expression, arms up, shoulders down and back? Who's heard that in the class? Why? You see kids doing this, kids hanging on trees like this. But somehow we've been told in the last 20 years, pull your shoulders down, it just squashes your back. This is the back of our core. The core is not just a bunch of muscles. The core is the center of our body, the center of all movement, and it's the axis point for our gut brain. Have you heard the expression gut brain? So the gut brain is essentially the enteric nervous system. It's a large network of nerves that's coming around the middle, and around it is wrapped your intestines, your reproductive system, your digestive system. And it's the seat of all movement, and it's also where we should feel from. This is our thinking brain in our head. This is our feeling brain. So if you want masculine, feminine connection, this is the Shiva, this is the Shakti. And to work good in our life, we have to have this connection. All animals move from their core. All animals feel from their core. They can have intuition. They can have incredible sixth sense and above senses. But what most people in the modern world are doing is locking the core. And then blocking it even further by over-breathing. The more you breathe, does your head get clearer or less clearer? 10 deep breaths makes you woo, woo, woo. And they're making a fortune around the world, aren't they? People do these breathing exercises in classes all around festivals around the world. I'm not saying they're wrong. Nothing is wrong or right. And you hear it in many modern yoga classes. And, I went to a class, maybe the last time was about 10, 15 years ago in Bali, and it was 150 people with a famous Indian yoga teacher. He began with the prayer and then started with his arms going up. Ekam. And I stopped, I looked around. I was in the front row, but behind me I thought there was 150 Darth Vaders. I'm going, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Imagine if someone was sleeping and they're making that noise. Imagine living next to someone like that, sleeping like that. People in meditation, people in peaceful, restful state, you can't hear their breath, you can't see their breath. True? That's called health. And a person who's about to die will usually increase their ventilation by 10, 20 times. Why would you volunteer to do that in an exercise class? Okay? Now, like I said, I'm not saying it's wrong, because what it does is it stimulates many hormones and causes a whole bunch of things to happen in your brain, which for some people make them think they've been reborn, because this started in rebirthing in the 1970s. Remember, they were doing that then. Or some people say, this is going to give you a psychedelic change in your body that's going to allow you to realize you're one with the universe. We're all one with the universe. But the thing is, what you're also doing, perhaps, and don't quote me, I just happen to know many people, I'm talking about 7 or 8, who did this for years and ended up with brain cancer, brain tumours, other tumours around their body. Because what you're doing, the more you breathe, the less blood goes to your brain. The lack of carbon dioxide, which most people tell you is a dangerous thing in our world, the plants won't believe that, will they? Plants love carbon dioxide. Do you know how much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere there is? Now, it's getting more and more, isn't it? How many percent? 10%? 5%? How much? 0.004%. Sweet F-A. Nothing. It's not a problem. Carbon dioxide is the essence of prana. It's the essence of chi. There's more. We need to build up carbon dioxide inside our body. And that's what opens blood vessels to the brain. That's what allows you to enter the oxyhemoglobin carrying the oxygen is what gets you to release the oxygen and bring it into the cells. Carbon dioxide makes your nervous system calm. You breathe more, you blow out carbon dioxide. Breathe less, you build it up. Is this a shock for some people? This is basic medical science. Every doctor learns this in first year medical science. But in years 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they learn about drugs. And they forget year 1, often. but it's basic medical science. And so it's about being natural. It's about being free. There's so much I want to tell you about, but let me just give you a couple of other things which to do with the mind. And the mind is, for me, I learnt a lot from Indian yoga. And one of the things I really live by is Yama and Niyama, which are the first stages of Ashtanga yoga. And in the West, we've been misled by misinterpretation. So Yama is thought to be a bunch of do-nots, a bit like the Ten Commandments. The Yamas are ahimsa, which means, in our translation, the modern world, don't be violent, non-violence. You've heard this, you know. There are whole courses on non-violent communication. Non-stealing, asteya. Non-attachment, aparigraha. Brahmacharya and satya, you've heard these things, right? And brahmacharya, they say, is no sex, and satya is no lying. Be honest. Honesty is the best policy. Well, maybe not. You look quite ugly and fat in those clothes you're wearing. You ever have to be honest? You don't just say something because it's true. I mean, really, there's 1,000 thoughts in our head. Why say the thing that's going to be the most offensive? I think it's more about balance. So balance is like, don't just think about your physical needs, also think about physiological, mental needs, social needs. That's the health of our life. Connection with other people, that's more important than just getting strong muscles and strong and flexible joints and things like that, which most people simply don't like and don't do. But of course, exercise is optional. This is a physiotherapy mantra, which I actually think is one of the nicest they've ever said. Exercise is optional. Movement is essential. But what we did before, move your fingers. Try it again, just move your fingers, like playing a piano. Just let your shoulders just make little gentle circles. Not big ones, just a tiny, like I'd make tiny ones. Now move your neck. Imagine, I broke my neck before I went to India. My neck got better in India, because in India they do this. Just move your neck, little figure eights. Then relax your pelvic floor and move your pelvis sexy. Go and try it like me. I know it's not that easy to follow. And then let your back lengthen and just breathe naturally into your abdomen or roll your abdomen. Now do the things that your face loves doing. Make kiss, smile, blink. I think we should practice this on buses and trains. Everyone would be better off. We get locked up. They think we're mad. This is the point. They think we're mad. But the thing is, those things, could you feel a bit of warmth come to your body just then? That's enough to, what it does, you unblocked the blockages between the body. So once the blockages are unblocked, good energy and loving information goes through your body. Good energy is healthy blood flow, no heart race. And the loving information is a dominance of your parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system, flight or fear response, will cause your immune, digestive, reproductive system to switch off. You're going to get sick. How many times have you worked hard all year? Work hard. Holiday's coming in 3 weeks' time. I've just got to keep going. 3 more weeks. You go for the first day of holiday. I'm so sick suddenly. I'm so sick. Because the day you rest, your immune system switches on. Because what people mostly do is they live in fight or flight and they suppress the immune system. That's an invitation for cancer. You need to be relaxed. When you relax, the body will clean out when it cleans out, and you get better. But living in flight or fight, you don't get sick. And people think you're healthy. Oh, I've never got sick in my life. I'm dead suddenly. And so the flight or fight response will not only turn off immune, digestive, reproductive functions, it will also make your subconscious emotional state, fear, anger, aggression, lack of safety, lack of trust. Does that sound like yoga? Doesn't sound like yoga to me. I love the word yoga, but I often don't call what I'm doing yoga because I've had teachers from all over the world, the indigenous world, and also Western scientists, which I really appreciate. I'm trying to find the synthesis, the common truth of everything I've learned in 63 years. The things that make sense, the things my mum told me, the things that mother's trying to embody. I love you. But what we need to do is stop waiting to tell someone else. What about loving yourself? In Australia, you can't do that, can you? You just love yourself, don't you? Yes? Is it okay? Is it all right? But that's what we should be doing, isn't it? Because once you experience love inside yourself, you have a model for how you can be in the world. So the parasympathetic nervous system, which some people consider opposite to the sympathetic, is that state of rest, rejuvenation, relaxation, regeneration, where your immune, digestive, reproductive functions are optimal. You heal, you grow, you nourish, you regenerate. And then the dominant subconscious emotions in that state are peace, love, safety, connection, trust. And they're the things that have to do with Yama. Because you see, for me, when I studied Sanskrit, I found the word that was translated first when Gandhi was talking about it. And in the modern world, there are teachers teaching about ahimsa. They translate it as non-violent communication. You've heard about it? It's a great system, just the wording is not good. Because does not mean not or non. It means opposite of. Can you imagine a mother holding a baby going, I'm not going to be violent with you. I'm not going to steal from you. I'm not going to trap you. It's not non-violence, it's opposite of violence, it's gentle. It's not non-stealing, it's opposite of stealing, it's giving. It's not non-attachment. When you've been stuck to a wall for 10 years, grabbed by chains, and you're attached to the wall, then finally after 10 years someone releases you. What do? You go out going, great, I'm not attached anymore. No, you go, I'm free. It's about freedom. And what we need is freedom in our bodies, freedom in our physiology, freedom in our mind. And this is really important. So these are the things that you start getting when you stop restricting your thoughts and believing everything just because someone said it, especially the media. When you stop restricting your body by sitting in a chair all day long. These things are very important. And it helps to have a belief system. So I want to finish with a set of beliefs. I talked a lot about moving your core, moving from your core. So that movement like this, I mean, these are fun ones as well, like this. It's really good for your internal organs. I can teach you this, but I need a month with you to work a few hours a day. Not hard, but better still is to know the core here is a small central portion of your trunk. And so most people think you should always keep a neutral spine. Have you seen the neutral spine? So people walk like this. They're always keeping their chest up, shoulders back and down, neck at the back of the collar. My dad was in the army. He said, chin in, chest up, shoulders in the back of the neck, like this. You don't need to walk like this. They did a study. You can find it. Google the words gait and orgasm. Gait means walking. Orgasm, you know what it means. Huh? So gait and orgasm. You come across a paper published in the Journal of Reproductive Biology, 2008. And they put women on a treadmill. Women on a treadmill. And they found that the women will move their hips. They put a little marker point here like this. And how much does a woman move her hips back and forth when she walks? You know, most women, Angelina Jolie, Scarlett Johansson, you know, it's much more like me now, sexy. You walk sexy. And surprise, surprise, they found that there was a direct correlation between the amount of pelvic swing that a woman has and the frequency of orgasm. What more do you want? So the thing is, if you lock your core, your hips won't move. It's about moving your core. So your core needs to twist. And when you're twisting, you're also making a bit of a side bend. So you see some people, you know, cool people walk like this. I try and walk like this with my girlfriend. She hates it. I'm walking ahead of you. But actually, it's really good. So it's really good to walk like that. But I'll give you something very, very simple. Just 8 simple spinal movements. Now, you can do them sitting on a chair, but I want you to do them with affirmation. Affirmation helps, doesn't it? Do you want to be strong? Yes. Well, we want to be strong, so we should say we'd be strong. So how about sit like this, move your fingers, move your shoulders, move your neck, relax your pelvic floor, breathe into the tummy, relax your face, kiss, smile, and say after me. I say it once, you say it once. 10 affirmations, okay? Positive affirmations. You want to be flexible, you want to be mobile, yes? What about, do you want to be strong? You want to be free. We want to be free as well. You want to be happy, you want to be healthy, you want to be wealthy, wise. You want to have purpose in your lives, you want to have talent. You want to be loved. Yes, let's try. So we go 10 simple spinal movements. You can do them seated on a chair or you can stand up. So I say, you copy. So go 1. We are strong. We are strong. We are flexible. You can lift up just the shoulder. We are flexible. And then we bend forward. We are free. We are free. We are happy. Bend backwards. We are happy. We are healthy. We are wealthy. We are wealthy. We are wise. We are wise. We have talent. We have talent. We are loved. We are loved. And we have purpose in our lives. We have purpose in our lives. So now we do it one time with some music. Okay, so just, we do it maybe 3 or 4 times. Okay, so just, you can stand or you can sit, you can mirror image me. It's lots of fun. And it's a positive affirmation. Just don't hurt your back, just move gently. You don't have to lift your arms, you can just move your shoulders. So start off with fingers can move, shoulders can roll, neck is free. Pelvic floor relaxed. Pelvis soft, pelvis can move, back lengthened, lower back unpinched, belly can breathe and face relaxed. So let's begin. In the chair or standing?
We are strong, we are flexible, we are free, we are happy, we are healthy, we are wealthy, we are wise, we have talent, we are loved, and we have purpose in our lives. We are strong, we are flexible, we are free, we are happy, we are healthy, we are wealthy, we are wise, we have talent, we are loved, and we have purpose in our lives. We are strong, we are flexible, we are free, we are happy, we are healthy, we are wealthy, we are wise, we have talent, we are loved, and we have purpose in our lives.
Sit down for a second. I want to say thank you very much. It's such a pleasure to spend this hour with you. It's only a very, very brief thing I can offer. I try and refine a talk which for me would take like 4 or 5 hours to give you a short taste in 45 minutes. I'm happy to be here for a bit longer, and I'm happy to talk either inside or outside if anyone has any questions and things. And then tomorrow at 4:15, if you can stay that long, I've got a class somewhere in here, maybe next door, I don't know. And I'll take you through some simple movements like this one. You can do them seated on a chair, like what we did just then at the end, but gentle, fluid, meditative practices, which can give you the things we want in our life. Physical, pain-free, functional body. Physiological, energy flowing, where you get good energy and loving information flowing through your body, which can give you healthy blood flow while being relaxed. It's the junction between sleep and exercise, the good bits of both merged together. And then also, it'll give you that meditative or flow state that the elite athlete has, that people in the world of yoga and Zen will talk about as meditation. But it's that state where you're connected in the present moment with your body. How many nows are there? Only one, no? And there's no past, there's no future, they don't exist, so might as well live in the now. Does anyone have any quick comments or questions you'd like to share? Everything is completely clear then. Thank you. But stay here if you wish. I love you guys, and maybe see you in class tomorrow. Or my phone number is on the timetable. You can ring me whenever you like. I'm happy to ask questions. And I have workshops and things as well. Bless you, love you all. Thank you very, very much. And thank you to my sister, Susie, who actually sung the song, because it's not my voice in that track. She didn't want me to say that, but I didn't say.